So here we are, the finished product. I was going to give you a little tour from a bloke's point of view, right? Because quite often men want to know, how's it made? How did you do that? So, a little bit leafy at the moment. Still getting it ready for our first guests. So, this first part here, we've made a few alterations. So the log burner, that's still there as before. Used to have a hot tub over there. Now we've got a little loungy area. So just give it a little refit with some slabs over there and replaced the decking, made that bigger. Now this is the original part that used to be the secret garden. So here's the entrance here. And as you'll see, it already had, so the secret garden already had a bit of a cave theme. So the ceiling up here, as you can see, is it's kind of like textured, just like the inside of a cave. It's got a little bedroom area with the glass ceiling. Now this used to be, many years ago, a long time ago, this is actually a steel container underneath. Let's put that light switch on. So at the other end here, you'll see that there's a little bathroom shower, little hand basin, little concrete sink. Concrete sink's pretty easy to make, believe it or not. A little bit of copper detail on the taps. And then you've got, of course, the toilet round here, little towel roll. But out here in the kitchen, we've got another concrete sink. And quite often when I'm showing people around, guests that come and stay, quite often people will say, well, how do you do it? And of course, everything looks so difficult. But in fact, it's not that difficult to do, really. You just have to have a little bit of insight of what it is that you want, and then don't be afraid of getting it wrong. Is the key. It's the key thing, really. Never be afraid to get it wrong. Because I've always had that. Well, I think I've always had it. Is that if somebody else can do it, there's a way around it, which means it's doable. You just got to find the same. Just got to find the same recipe, haven't you? Right? You find out exactly how people do it. First time, sometimes it doesn't work out, but then you have to try again. Well, anyway. So this is a new doorway that we cut through into the new section. Of course, that's why now it's called the cave, because it's very much a bit like bedrock. Everything's kind of concrete, really. Lots and lots of concrete everywhere. So we've got a handrail there. Probably one of my personal favourite little bits is it turned out pretty good. The detail on that I was quite pleased with. Got that to look like sort of odd shaped twisted branches. So it's got steel rebar inside, and then a good strong mix of concrete. I think if I remember rightly, it was about 2-to-1 sharp sand, cement. Got a little bunk bed up there. All of this is timber framed underneath. So that there, I've made it so that there's like a little delicate, where a stalagmite meets the stalactite, and there's like a little, supposed to look like a delicate piece holding it together right in the centre of where they meet, just up there. That's just a big lump of steel thread bar, which is anchored into the joists of the ceiling, and then anchored to the framework down here, which is just behind here. So these little fossils, no, they're not real. They was a silicone mould. I filled the little silicone moulds up, got them off Amazon. Little silicone mould, filled it up with, I think that was tile adhesive. Get a little bit of a finer detail with tile adhesive rather than using concrete. And just squashed it in there and rubbed my finger around and blended it in, and that's pretty much how it is. So a lot of this texture, this concrete, is, believe it or not, simple. It's just getting the mix right. It's getting it almost like clay, almost like, you know, when you squeeze clay, it's kind of pliable and it stays in a lump. You just need to get it like that, and that's quite a high mix. It's about 2.5 to 1, so only 2.5 sand, and all of this detail type cement you use plastering sand. So it's washed sand, and you can just get a finer detail. Now once you've actually troweled, so you trowel it on the wall, get the rough shape that you want, and then you can just use like a stiff bristle brush and just dab it all over. Then you can use a soft one to get a slightly finer detail, and just keep dabbing it, and you'll find that it starts becoming a little bit more organic and a bit more natural looking. The whole idea really is to use whatever tools that you've got, paint brushes, stipple brushes, anything. It's just the aim is to take away the man-made look. If you take away the man-made look, like the trowel lines and anything that looks like it's been made by a man, you take away that and it automatically just starts looking more like nature. There is a few man-made pieces in it, obviously, because there's like a big, like the effects of a big beam that's been put up there, but then above it is a little bit of natural. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not the best that you'll see out there for sure, but it's effective. It's effective. So we've got these big pillars holding up this, what appears to be a big beam. That's Daisy and Duke up there. That was my two babies that departed 2 or 3 years ago. Sadly, after about 14 years they was. But they're up there forevermore now. So the guests that come and stay here, they're honoured to have those pictures here on the wall. There's another concrete, it's supposed to look like big stones really, that's holding up this big beam here. And yeah, it's all just insulation. So these here, to take up most of the space, to give it the bulk look, is like Celotex, like insulation board. This area here, this again is probably one of my favourites. It sort of turned out how I wanted, and that was to have it look like galvanised steel panels riveted to the wall that have gone rusty on the joints, and it kind of turned out how I wanted really, which is quite cool. Then through here, so we've got a little wardrobe space. This little door was made by Lewis, good friend of mine. Done a nice job of that. Nice door. To get a door cut with oak that thick, that was challenging. Because we haven't got a lot of room here, it needed to be a fairly lightweight door. But he managed to put it together and stick it edge to edge using some oak that I had. And as we go through here, we have got the bathroom. So quite often we have some really effective mistakes, believe it or not. Now this was a bit of a mistake, this floor, but turned out totally exactly what it is that I wanted. So that's using a few different layers to try and get the floor smooth without being too slippery. So there's concrete obviously underneath, underfloor heating throughout the whole building. So there's concrete on the bottom, then there was a layer of tile adhesive, which didn't really like, so I tried getting it off, which added to the effect. And then of course we resined the top, and we ended up with some different layers, different colours, which looks very Jurassic, right? So that was sort of accidental, but turned out perfect, exactly what we wanted. Then I've got, so the whole thing's lined in here because it needs to be watertight. The whole thing in here is lined with tile adhesive over around the shower area, and then we've got cement and concrete over this side. So yeah, pretty cool. Getting the wood effect, if you want to get old wood effect, that's probably one of the easiest effects that you can do, believe it or not, using cement. That's done with a little wooden tool that's got a point on the end, that's like a dart that you'd throw at a dartboard. That's literally all you use, and a fine edge paintbrush. So you just literally keep scratching lines. You can push a lump on there to get a knot, so when you push a lump on there, and then just as it starts setting, dig around with it and you get some good effects. And then back out here we've got the dining room table. So it's got an oak edge all the way around. Oak edge all the way around with some tiles with a nice three-dimensional effect inside. And then of course where we get most of the questions and queries is, how do you build a hot tub? How do you build a concrete hot tub? So, there you go. Concrete hot tub. I'm going to make a video all on its own about the hot tub.